welcome.
Yeah, if you have a question, you just raise your hand, we'll get you a mic. Wants to lead us off.
Don, thanks for this. How hectic was this first round for you in terms of action on those picks, and did you consider anything?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of calls. We actually tried to move up and to a spot, and that didn't work. And we had a lot of calls to move around, especially on the 14th pick. But you know, I really believe if there's a player there that you really want, don't pass it up. Take them. You know, to go pick up a second, late third round, or late second or third round pick, and lose your opportunity for the player you want. I don't think it's worth it.
Did you anticipate Jackson being there for you at 14?
We did not. We had him really high on our list, and really like him, like the way he transports the puck, like I said, and skating is. Some of our scouts that watch him all the time rate his skating as a 10, and that happens very rarely. So and he's a good sized kid, obviously.
Yeah, the second pick you took, the Russian goaltender. I know we kind of asked you the other day about Gold Star. Was that somebody that stood out to you? Did you have a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, I did. I met with them along with our goalie guys now. I'm not a goalie expert. I can interview people and watch them in practice. But our goalie guys, Nick and Brad Thiessen and Jimmy Veers all said by far they thought this was the best guy. And, you know, we came in today into the draft saying that we'd like to draft a goalie. So when we put our list together, it worked out two ways. It's kind of interesting because he's our number one goalie, but he was actually our next guy on our list. So we didn't have to deviate at all. But, you know, he's very athletic. Every kid that we talked to down there, they had 25 kids. We probably interviewed another 15 besides the goalies. We always ask them this question: if you had one player that you could from here that you could take with you to your next team, and 90% of the players said Peter. It was interesting to hear.
Did you happen to talk about, like, do you have an understanding of his contract status, how long he anticipates being in Russia?
Yeah. He's 4 to 5 years, which, you know, he's 18 years old. So, you know, these goalies that come out, you know, end up bouncing around a little bit, and usually it's their second team, as we well know here, before they really hit their stride. So, you know, draft him at 18, and if he's coming over at 22, 23, you know, the hope is the development path brings him right to the National Hockey League.
Anything else? Corey?
Obviously, you're excited about these players. Is there any, I don't want to say disappointment, maybe that's too strong, but that you weren't able to make moves for the 25-26 team in mind?
I would have said that maybe before the draft, but when you're able to add, particularly right off the bat there, Jackson, I mean, we would have never, ever predicted he would be there at 14. So maybe earlier when we were talking about the draft, you know, and trying to maybe add players for our team, which we did do today, which I think can be a big help in Coyle and Woods. But after we've gone through these selections down to end up with these two players, I think we're pretty happy with that.
We haven't talked to you yet about Coyle or Woods the earlier trade. Just what do you see now when you look at your forward group, and how much work is there still to do?
Yeah, well, you know, both big bodies. Wood he skates like the wind. As a forechecker, creates a lot of opportunities with the speed and finishing checks, and you know, has scored 17 goals in the 1 year. Not that we're expecting him to score a lot of goals, but you know, it brings a lot of energy to our fourth line, and he can play up into the third line. So, and then with Coyle, we really wanted to get, you know, we've been on face-offs a lefty team, and we wanted to get a righty, and obviously, you know, big body, plays a 200-foot game, both ends of the ice, very responsible. So you know, we've been looking for that right shot guy all summer. So when that opportunity came up, we had to jump on it.
Whose idea was it to have Meredith announce the selection?
It was the organization. We had talked about it, and it made a lot of sense. You know, first, was she available to go, because it's 3 kids at home and it's all the way across the country. And when she was asked, she immediately said, "Yes, I'd like to do it."
And you mentioned that maybe you would get rid of your draft picks. Was there pressure to have a draft pick for her to announce?
That's pretty funny, because I thought about that last night. I said, "Oh boy, if we don't end up with either one of these picks," but she would have understood. That's for sure. If we'd have done something with them, she would have understood. But so there's no pressure to keep them because she was there. Obviously, we were fully invested in if we could do something to do it.
Don, were you surprised more didn't happen during the draft trade-wise, or a couple draft pick trades, but actually just more overall action?
Again, this decentralized draft, I think, plays a big part of it. When you can't walk around the arena and just tap people on the shoulder and talk to them. When you're face-to-face, things always seem to happen better than when you're on the phone. So even though there's lots of conversations, not nearly as much as usually goes on when you're together. So, but the other thing right now is, I saw so many quotes from GMs this week that nobody was looking to trade players for picks. Everybody's trying to trade players for players. You saw quite a few GMs talk about that, and so just the having nice assets as draft picks this year because of more players being locked up by their teams because of the cap going up. There's less players available, so nobody wanted to trade a player for a draft pick. For the most part, they wanted to trade for players. The exception we dealt with Colorado today because of the cap issues going forward. So that's why we were able to do that.
Don, it was reported by multiple places today that you guys were involved in the no adoption thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was the price tag, I don't know if you feel like talking about it, was it too high? Was that the main thing on that one? That's one question. And then 2 is just when do you start looking forward, to free agency and filling out the rest of your roster?
The free agency, we're ready for it when it hits. And obviously, we still have the rights to our current players that we can continue to talk to. So that's been ongoing and will continue right through until we get our roster done. Last year we were even late in the year when we added some players, but the trade, it got to a point for us. There was a combination of not only the assets we had to give up, but also the price tag up for the player, and we just made a decision. That you look at our team and some of the guys that are going to be coming off contracts the next few years, the Fantillis and Johnsons and Marchi and Voronkov and Matejchuk, the young players. We all know that they're going to get paid, and we did like the player, but there comes a point where you say, okay, you got to make sure you leave yourself open to be able to keep your team together.
Anything else?
Great. Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.